Welcome to Markham's H2AO2, telling you all you need to know about answering the passage-based 5-marker of your GCSE Class Civ Odyssey paper. This video is using Book 5, page 71, lines 314 to 333, The Storm of Poseidon. The question is, how does Homer emphasise the power of the storm in this passage? First thing to bear in mind, the storm is powerful. It almost kills Odysseus, we know that. We've read this passage before, and you should have plenty of notes in the margin of your text that points out those key words or phrases or literary devices which emphasise its power. So don't panic. This isn't unknown territory. You aren't being asked about anything you don't already know. Your job is just to write down 4 different ways that Homer presents the storm as powerful. I say write down 4 because you will be credited in the exam with more than 1 mark per idea, so long as it's a good idea and it's backed up properly and it's phrased clearly. But it would be risky to just make 3 points and to hope they're all perfect. It's better to make 4 and to give yourself some room. If you have 5 ideas, great. If you have the time and space to make them, go ahead. But set yourself the target of 4 minimum. Your first job is to read the passage. These passage-based questions require you to focus on the passage in front of you only, to reference just what's given to you and to not bring in any ideas from just before this bit or just after. Any points you make which are not clearly coming out of this passage, you might as well cross out because they aren't going to get you any marks at all. Take the chance now to read the passage. Pause this video and read it through to yourself. I'm going to suggest 4 points which I've picked out from reading this passage. You might come up with others, which is fine, but follow the same process that I do when planning your answer. Homer emphasises the power of the storm through his use of powerful and emotive adjectives to describe it. For example, mountainous, awesome, tremendous, mighty. Homer goes on to use violent language to describe the actions of the storm. It whirled his raft around and tossed Odysseus off the raft. The idea of the rudder being torn from his hands by the wave and the raft being snapped by the wind emphasises the destructive power of the storm. Homer further emphasises its power by raising the suspense of the passage. The finality of Odysseus's death is a real possibility. And we are told that for a long time the water kept him under. This reinforces how dangerous the storm is. Homer uses a simile, like the north wind at harvest time tossing about a ball of thistles. This highlights how small and powerless Odysseus is in comparison to the storm. The winds seem wild and uncontrollable. The simile suggests they're like children who play with and chase Odysseus. And that's it. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated. 4 clear points made, identified some narrative devices like the simile, quoted from the passage, or I've made really clear reference to parts of it, and kept sentences succinct, avoided waffle. Highlighting can be useful, or writing the point you're going to make in the margin. You might do this as you're reading the passage for the first time. Remember what I said at the start of the video. You do know this text, and if you didn't know it, you've got common sense. You can tell from this passage that the storm's powerful, so tell me how is it you know that? Preferably by following the process as laid out here. The best way to get better at this is just to practice. Pick a passage, get a highlighter, get some ideas down. Good luck!